All these plants are going in the ground tomorrow. But before I do that, I thought it was important for me to show you some of the experiences of growing in soil blocks over growing in pots. As you can see from behind me, everything has been growing so great. In fact, so much better than anything growing in a pot. And I want to show you specifically the root system, why everything is so much better on everything that grew in the soil blocks opposed to the pots. So first off, in this case, this is a flower, and you could see, look how great this looks. This whole thing. So some things to take note, there's actually less soil per plant in a block than there is in this pot itself. And so my initial thoughts would be, it doesn't actually work as well. There's not enough soil for it to grow in. The root system isn't going to get as big, obviously, because there's not enough soil. They're going to compete with each other, and it's just going to have problems. But that's not the case. And mainly, it has to do with how the roots go. So here is your typical root system that you're going to buy from the store or get in a pot. It gets root bound. And this one isn't necessarily the most root bound that I've seen, but you could see all the roots are just collecting down there at the bottom, having a really hard time, not knowing where to go. They haven't air pruned. However, look at this one, same plant, same soil, same everything, seeded at the same time. In fact, they were soil blocked at the same time from a smaller plant. Then I up potted them exactly at the same time. I have more of that same inside of a pot, and everything in the pot does not look like this. Let's put them side by side. Look at that, isn't that incredible? This one is just way outperforming it. And then if we look at the root system, the roots are coming out. These were just down at the bottom underneath another block. But mainly, if we look at the roots right here, they've all been air pruned. But if we look at the roots coming out right there, they've all been air pruned, meaning everything that came out to try to get and search for more, meaning that everything that came out to search for more soil has decided to stop growing. They don't go anymore. They don't circle, and that's it. They'll just sit, the plant will just send more roots down to the ground. And if we look actually at the bottom of this one, because they've been sitting in here a little longer than they should have, we see the roots coming out toward the bottom, and it's not root bound at the bottom either. And if we look at the sides, there's no spinning of the roots. It's just coming down, coming out and down toward the ground. And this has been some of my biggest surprise in doing soil blocking for the first time this year. I didn't think that it would be this awesome, and it was every one of my plants. I didn't trust soil blocking as much as I should have, so some of my important plants that my wife really wanted, like the loofah, I grew in pots. Like this. Terrible idea, because anything that I left in the soil block has outperformed like crazy. Just look at some of these plants. These are tomatoes. I didn't label these. I know these are cucumbers. They just were planted like a week and a half ago. Look at that. They're direct sown into this pot, right into this block right here. I'm pretty sure these were direct sown into this pot also, whatever tomatoes of these are. As soon as it starts giving me fruit, I'll know what it is. But yeah, look at that. And it's been very beyond my expectations too. There were some things that I will take note of though. Next year, you could see this whole row of oregano. It didn't take. And the reason why is because when I take the plants a little bit too small, when the seedlings are just barely coming out and they have their first seed leaves, I would choose some of those times to up pot or up block from there, because I thought since the root or the tap root isn't really going to get disturbed, especially because it's inside of a little seed block, and I put them straight down, there would be little issue, but that wasn't the case. Anytime that there was a more substantial amount of root systems going down, I pick them up, I move them, and even if the roots dangle outside of the little blocks that are around this size, you can see how small they are if you're not sure what they are. Even if they're dangling out of those little ones and I put them in here, everything seems to be fine and they grow and they take really well. But if I transfer them too soon, when they just have their little seed leaves, it's not good. And everything, so that's what happened in here, all this oregano. I have more sitting under a grow light in the house, but everything that I transferred too soon didn't take very well. So that was something I was surprised about. I shouldn't transfer too soon. Wait till everything gets, sometimes, depending on the plant, this big in those little blocks. And then transfer them up block. And because it's not in a pot and we're not potting, there's no root boundness and everything seems to be everything works really great. And the roots are really easy to pick up. Sometimes you'll get a tap root going all the way down and underneath some of the other soil blocks, but it's fine and nothing gets ruined. I just kind of tuck it inside the block and up block and it's totally fine. But the amount of seeds that I was able to cultivate this early on in the season, because the method and because of the room that I'm able to have, there's probably over 300 plants behind us. But because of how much room I'm able to save by growing in the pots, in the blocks, it's incredible. I can't believe how many plants I was able to start really, really well, and then have such a limited amount of loss from all my seedlings, and not just loss, because I'm doing them in these smaller cubes right here. I'm not overseeding. I'm not taking and dropping like 3 to 4 seeds inside of a little bin, and then I don't have to thin either. If a block doesn't take, then a block doesn't take, and I could skip that block. If the seed in the block didn't take, then I don't have to pick up that block, and I'm not putting 2 to 3 seedlings all the way through. So I'm not wasting seeds by overseeding and then thinning when it comes time to seeing which one sprouted. That was always the worst for me. I would put like 5 seeds. That's a lot, like 2 to 3 seeds, maybe 4 if an extra one fell in. Then I'd have to thin, and then I'd have to up block or up pot when I did that method. It felt like a waste, and I get that you're doing it for germination to make sure that seeds go in there, but this method, basically every single seed took, and since every seed took, I also didn't have to thin any of them because they had their own specific designed cube that just did everything I needed it to do. So much less waste, and I'm super happy I did it this way. That's it. I just wanted to share some of that before I put these in tomorrow. I'm going to give you a little quick look at some of the plants that we have got started that we're going to put out in the garden tomorrow. This one is California Poppy. Let's show you what else. This right here is a variety of basil that you may not have tasted before. Maybe you have. It's a little bit different than the Italian basil. This is holy basil, and it almost has a taste of lemony taste. It's kind of weird or like a minty taste. Yeah, like a minty basil. It's kind of weird. It tastes really great. But this is holy basil. And we have some golden jubilee tomatoes. Well, this one is also a tomato. You'll see that we have actually started many tomatoes because we want to can a lot of tomatoes this year because we do a lot of tomato sauce and pasta sauces and pizzas. And so we are going crazy with the different varieties of tomatoes this year for that reason. We're going to can a lot of this. I wish well, I lost the sticker on this one. Also, it seems like I think I have the sticker on the rest of them, hopefully. Again, once the fruit starts coming up, I should be able to know what most of them are, and I'm going to plant them all in different spots too, so it'll be a little bit easier. So, another tomato. We've also got some chili serranos growing, and I'm pretty excited about these because especially because I've been able to grow them a little bit sooner in the season. I was planning on direct sowing originally on May 1st, but I'm happy that these things have taken so well so quickly. Again, these are chili serranos. Right here was going to be oregano, but the same problem. I up-blocked the oregano too soon, and it didn't take. So that's what happened there. And this is the last one just for now, because I know I have so many back there and it would take a while just to show you all of them. And these two are some that I'm the most excited about growing right now. We got these from Baker Creek Nursery. They sent us a catalog because we've ordered from them before, and we saw these in there. Their marketing worked, just sending us the catalog, and we went, gotta have it. This is Kajari melon. Very excited about this. It's gonna taste like a regular cantaloupe or honeydew melon, but the color is very, very different. It's orangey and yellow with stripes. And here, I'll put up a picture right here. But that's what this one's going to be like. I'm very excited about this one. It comes out of India, and it's just going to be a really fun one. And it's really quick to harvest, especially out of all the other melons. And the other one that we're really excited about is this thing called the Electric Buzz flower. I've had one of these many years ago. We're photographers by trade for a living, and we were hired to take pictures at a hotel in their bar, and one of the cocktails I was taking pictures of was called the Electric Buzz cocktail, and they put this flower inside of the cocktail, and the flower would make your mouth feel like it had you'd gone to the dentist and gotten Novocaine in your mouth. It only lasts maybe about 30 seconds, and then it goes away to a minute, depending on the flower, whatever. But it was just something that I thought, this is crazy. It was before I was in the world of gardening and homesteading, so I didn't know much about all these different plants. And when I saw that in the book, it was just a really cool nod to where we have been in life and then where we are now. I was just finding out about plants back then, and now I'm able to grow them here, and it's just really cool that I saw this in a book and I went, you know what? I feel confident growing this now. I never did before we moved out to the country and started doing this ourselves. So that's why we got this one, and I'm really, really, really excited about it. Not even for the Novocaine effect. I don't really care about that, but just for the fact that I can do it, that's why I did this one. And the Kajari melon, I'm just excited again for the same thing. I never thought that I would be having a garden big enough to grow anything, and then on top of that have space enough to just say, you know what, I want to try this plant, I want to try growing this. So that's where we're at, and that's why I wanted to show this one to you too. So just wanted to share some of my experiences with soil blocking and give you an update on where we're at with our garden. And let me get everything in the ground, and then I'll show you where we're at from there. Very excited. Oh, also, before I go, loofah. My wife is very, very excited about this one. We're going to grow it and use it. If you aren't familiar, a loofah is a plant. I'm sure most of you watching this video do know that, but if you don't know, loofah is a plant, and that's a sponge. The loofah sponges that you buy at the store don't come from the ocean, they come from a plant. It gets this big, long plant, you rip it off, it almost looks like a weird-looking zucchini or some sort of gourd. You pull it off, you let it dry out for a couple months. As soon as it dries out, you crack it open, you rip off the shell on the outside, cut the spongy-like material up into cylindrical shapes, and then you got your loofah. So, that wasn't much of a send-off, but there you go. That's a loofah. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one.